Yes, people, welcome back to West Ham Unofficial. I hope you are all well. We're back with the West Ham versus Fulham preview as Fulham took a short trip across London to take on West Ham United, who are looking just edging closer back into some form after a couple of good wins in the last week. Welcome to West Ham Unofficial. I hope you are all well. I'm joined today by Mark from the West Ham Way to preview the game. Mark, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Very good, especially on the back of a couple of wins, like you say. So, smiling. So it's all good, mate. It's all good.
Yeah, good stuff. Tell the viewers where they can find you, mate.
Well, I'm on Twitter at MC Rugrid. Also, we've got the westhamway.com, which is our main website. And so I do a lot of the writing and bits and pieces, and also on the West Ham Way YouTube channel as well. So I do bits and pieces here and there.
Good stuff. So you can go and find him over there. About the game, then, mate. You said it. You said it before we went on air. Is that you just feel a little bit more confident than we have done in recent weeks, and rightly so. We've had a couple of good wins, and it's just starting to look a little bit better.
Yeah, it's the first game I think this season. I'm actually genuinely looking forward to it, and actually feel quite confident. I can't recall a game I've actually felt that way. Obviously, our form has been a little bit off with new players and whatnot, trying to get embedded in, which is understandable. But I'm confident going into this one. I really got a feeling that we're gonna get the win, and especially as it's looking like Mitrovic is going to be missing. I mean, I don't know if that's for certain, but I'm hearing that it's looking like he is out. So I think that's a big boost for us because I find them a little bit toothless without him. I think they showed that last week against Newcastle when they lost 4-1. I'm pretty confident, mate.
Yeah, I think in terms of Fulham for that's absolutely massive. Mitrovic scores goals, and you take that out of the side, you're not sure where goals come from, and then all of a sudden you take him out, and you know what happened last week, as you said. It was they went and they've looked okay at the start of the season. They've picked up results, and they've been nearer the top than they have the bottom, and then you take him out, and then they went to complete pot last week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's going to be key for us. I think that would be a nice lift. I mean, to be honest with you, even if Mitrovic plays, I'm actually confident with this. I think on paper, we've got a far stronger team than them. I'd expect us to get the result. And the fact now we've just come off the back of two decent results, you'd think we're going to go in with this with our towels up. And there should be a bit of confidence about us now. Because I don't know about you, mate, but I'm starting to feel that things are starting to click now. We're starting to look like a side that players are getting used to each other and they're used to their roles. And I'm actually starting to get a little bit excited again about West Ham.
Yeah, and I think, we were, I think, looking back a little bit impatient, and the results and the performances were really, really bad at the start of the season. But we knew bringing in 8 players, and most of them playing, once a week, and just whacking them all in and expecting them to, or just not putting them in as Moyes did at some points, but putting them all in there, it just wasn't going to click straight away. It's taken 2 months, and it seems like now they are clicking, and we are seeing that progression, and we're starting to see the quality that we've got from spending 180 million quid.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're starting to see that. I mean, you look at Skamaka, who's starting to really sort of, look a Premier League striker now, which I think, to be fair, he's done that pretty quick. If you look back to when it started, he looks a different player, quite far away from when he started with us, and he just looks a real deal, doesn't he? Paqueta obviously as well. I think he's still finding his feet, but he looks to be getting sharper. But I'll tell you what, one thing as well, we're starting to see the performances of others that have been lacking. I think Bowen's now looking back into form. He's looked poor this season up to recently, so that's a big lift for us. And also as well, I'm quite liking this having Kira at right back. I think that's made a big difference. No disrespect to Soufal, but he's been quite poor of late, and I think he know that as well. So I think it's nice to have that. That's been eradicated now, and I just think we look a bit more of a solid unit. I'm quite confident, mate, about Sunday. And it's probably going to come back and bite me in the arse, but I'm at the moment quite confident.
Yeah, because you said, I thought you summed it up with Fulham there earlier. Toothless without Mitrovic, we're coming into a bit of form. I don't think Fulham will particularly be looking forward to it on paper. Yeah, we still look like we've had a really, really poor start to the season considering the last 2, but it is starting to shape together, and just looking through that lineup now and having Kerr at right back, which kind of it doesn't completely fix, but it shores up that right hand side where there's been problems. Yeah, the left there's still question marks over whether it's Chris or Emerson or whatever. If we can get that midfield sorted, perhaps start Downs, maybe put Paqueta in with a 3 there, with Paqueta playing as a number 10,
Absolutely.
maybe Rice sitting and Downs a little bit further up, or just 2 sitting and getting Paqueta to play that number 10 role. Scamacca scored 4 and 5 in Europe, 1 in the Premier League. He's starting to tick. Overall, it's coming together, and I do think at some point, with the players we've got and the quality we're going to batter aside. Whether that could be tomorrow, I'm not sure, but we've definitely got the quality there to go out and put 3 or 4 past aside.
I'm with you. I'm actually. I was talking earlier on about this game, and I've predicted 3-0 West Ham, and I just think that the way it's kind of the way you look at it. That they've just had a bad result. Fulham, the star striker looks like he's going to be out. The fact West Ham are coming into this quite confident now. Our tail's certainly up. I think it's kind of got the hallmarks of a West Ham win, really. Not to say that it's of course it's not guaranteed, but I think that the majority of us are feeling pretty good about this game. I'll tell you what as well. It's the fact that we've also, we've had the bad start. We know that. I think it was 5 losses out of 7. And then all of a sudden now, in the space of a week, we could be winning sort of 3 games on the spin. And let's be honest, not easy games. I mean, Wolves, okay, it wasn't the best of games overall anyway, but that was a team that are struggling down the bottom. We were struggling. It was a nerve-wracking day. To then come away with 2-0 result, I thought was fantastic. And then to back that up now with another victory, but this time, away in Belgium, Anderlecht, very tough game. And it was a tough game, and I think we dealt with it really well. So, if you can imagine if we do beat Fulham and do it well, it just feels like that would be a corner turned. I think most people would accept then. Even our rivals would be looking, thinking, okay, I think West Ham are back to it now. It certainly sends a message that the patchy start is over, and we're now sort of back to being West Ham and starting to look the side that's going to be challenging for that top 6. Because let's be realistic, mate, that's what we need to be doing this season, especially with the investment. We've got to be there or thereabouts.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there shouldn't really be too many excuses if we can get that sort of flow. Now, James, I hope you are well. Just overall, you look at it. Do you think that David Moyes is almost at the shackles off in the last week as well? Because he's certainly mixed things up on Thursday, whether that was just in Europe, but we all thought the lineup was a bit strange on Thursday, considering that was on paper the strongest team in the group, and we rotated heavily against that team, which some people thought was very strange. Do you think that was almost David Moyes going, right, we've got to win under the belt now? It wasn't in the Conference League, but we are doing okay in the Conference League. I think we can beat them with the team that he put out. Do you think you could see him make some changes that perhaps he hasn't done in the past in the Premier League, considering that we could see maybe a down start in midfield that people have called for, a Paqueta to start as the number 10, almost to take the shackles off and just go for it with the players we've got there now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you're right, and especially in terms of Downs. I think that's the one player that we could see start against Fulham. I'm actually half expecting him to. I think that I think he's earned it. I think that if you look at the performances of him over Souček, I think overall, I think Downs offers more, and I think that's needed now. I think Moyes needs to sort of ditch the whole loyalty side of things and sort of and needs to be realistic here. He needs to pick his best players. So I'm actually expecting Downs to start, and also on the back of the fact that Moyes commented on Downs, called him the best player the other night, and then said he's given him something to think about. So, let's be honest, Moyes is quite, he's careful with his words. He wouldn't come out and say something like that if he didn't mean it. So, I'm expecting there to be a few changes. And I think it'll work well. I think it'll work well, like you said about Paqueta. I think having a player behind him like Downs, he's already got it with Rice, but someone that can distribute the ball quite well. Because I think the issue we've found with Paqueta today is that he just doesn't get on the ball enough, and that's just because of the role he's playing. At Brazil, even at Lyon, he was playing a far more deeper role, whereas at West Ham, Moyes obviously wants him to play this number 10 role. And one, he's got to get used to it, but two, you've got to give him the ball. He needs to get on the ball, and to have that, he needs players around him that's going to give him the ball. And I don't think Souček's that player. I just don't think he's known for that, really. It's not his best quality, his distribution. So I think it would work quite well. It'd be really interesting, though. And I've got to say, I think Scamacca needs to be starting as well. I think he's proven to be a really, really exciting player, mate. I think we've got a really good striker around here. I really do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to come on to next. And it's exciting because he's started Schumacher in the Premier League. He's rested in Europe, which means the only logical thing now is for him to start tomorrow, which is exciting. He's got that first Premier League goal, which strikers who are coming from different leagues find incredibly difficult to do. He's got that now, and he did it in some style. And hopefully now, if he can get up a Ketter behind him, with a kind of a Bowen coming back into some form, a Fornals who's going to give him something on that left hand side, with Cornet out injured. He could now start firing, and I think the Premier League do need to watch out, because we've only seen bits of him, but he's scoring goals. He's not doing too much else. I do think his hold up play has been very good, and he's going to score goals. He is going to score goals.
Absolutely. I actually get the feeling, when we had Dean Ashton, that feeling, that just natural striker. It seems the real, he's the whole package, isn't he? He's strong, he's fast, he's good in the air, and I think he's passing. Actually, he's showing he's got a good eye, and he does open up. His link up play with Bowen's been fantastic, really exciting, and you can just already see that he's only going to get better once he gets more to grips with this league. I really think he could be a 20-goal season player. And let's be honest, we've been screaming for that for a long time. And if we want to be a top side in the Premier League, you need to have players that are going to guarantee goals. I think we might have it. And that's, no disrespect to Antonio, because he's been brilliant for us. And obviously he's our record Premier League goal scorer. So I've got nothing but respect for Antonio. But he's not a 20-goal a season striker. He just isn't. And he knows that. And that's where we've lacked that sort of clinical edge sometimes. Once if Schumacher gets a chance, 9 times out of 10 he's going to score it. With Antonio, he's probably more 5 out of 10. You just don't really know what you're going to get. Sometimes he just seems to lack composure. Whereas, we saw it against Anderlecht. That finish from Schumacher was just a proper, decent, and what we want. I'm really excited by him, mate. Really am, and I think we finally might have that striker we've been craving for so many years.
Well, exactly, because we've been told to wait for the perfect striker, and it does maybe look like we found it now, and I think Thursday was the perfect example. Antonio had a few chances, and I thought a couple of them were probably easier than the chance that Schumacher had, but he got it. He didn't even look. He knew where the goal was, and he just drilled it into that bottom left-hand corner, which is exactly what you want him to do. He's going to be there at the right time, and he's going to at least hit the target, and he's going to score. So if we can just get him that service, get him up there against sides like Fulham, he's going to give defenders an absolute nightmare, and hopefully pick up 1-2 goals here and there, and sort of be that striker that we've wanted him to. Just to mention Thursday night, obviously we had that out of this world save from Areola. Do you believe? What's your thoughts on the situation? Do you think that Moyes should stick with Fabianski and go? How much longer do you think Fabianski's got, or do you think we've got to wait till he makes a mistake?
It's the strange thing, isn't it? Because if you look at really the season as a whole at the moment, or even last season, really, he hasn't made that many mistakes. Fabianski, actually, he's been a very good goalkeeper for us. So I wouldn't say it's down to the fact that we need to replace him because of any mistakes. I actually just think that Areola's showing qualities that he is ahead of Fabianski now. I think Areola's performance against Anderlecht. Obviously, what I liked about that save was the fact that he hadn't done much the whole game.
I said that,
if you're standing around for an hour and a half, hour and a quarter, or whatever, not really doing anything, you can imagine your mind's wandering. You're probably getting a little bit bored, and you've got to try and keep your mind, focused. Which is, let's be honest, must be quite difficult when you're not having much to do. And then you're then called upon to make, a world-class save like that. It just shows. That's up there. You can compare that to sort of Peter Schmeichel, what he was used to do for Manchester United. Never had much to do in games, but when he was needed, he was there and did the job. And I think if you put aside sort of loyalties and history, which I think Moyes has to, really, he needs to be ruthless. I think Areola needs to be our number one goalkeeper now. I really do. Yeah. And that's no disrespect. Don't get me wrong. If Moyes decides to stick with Fabianski, I'm not going to be too disappointed, because I don't think he's done much wrong. But I just think that Areola's that step ahead now. He's a bit younger, and I think I think Fabianski's 37, so I'm sure he wouldn't be too upset if he was told that he was now the number 2 goalkeeper. I think he'd accept that. I'm sure he would. And I think Ario is proving it now that he needs to be starting. But I still don't think he will, though. That's my gut feeling.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I think overall his shot stopping is better. The quick distribution at times, Fabianski gets to the edge of the box once he's caught it or saved it or whatever, and he just stops and he looks to try and get it to Soufal or something. But Areola, I think's got that. He's got that better distribution and can get us going quicker and get us on these counter attacks, especially when we're going to have a bit of tippy tappy football now. We can get it to Paqueta out where and get Scamacca to touch it on and then go. We are going to be playing some quick and stylish football, and I think that could start with good or that has to start with good distribution from somebody like Areola, I think. But can you see Fulham posing a threat tomorrow? They have been good, but without Mitrovic, they look like nothing.
It's a tough one. I mean, because to be fair to them, they've done well this season so far. They've started brightly. They look decent. Obviously, Mitrovic is their main player. We know that. And I think that without him, they do suffer a little bit. I don't really think any game in this league's going to be a walk. And I don't think, I think it will be, we're going to be right at it. But I would be surprised if we don't win. I'm disappointed. I actually think if we got a draw, I'd be quite disappointed deep down. I'd be thinking this is a good opportunity for us to get points. I mean, all you got to do is look at Fulham really as a whole, as a club. And don't get me wrong, they've done very well. Did very well last season, obviously getting promoted. But I think we are a far stronger unit, and especially being at home, and the fact that if Mitrovic is out, that does give us a huge boost going in. The fact that that their main man is out, and it's looking like he is. So I don't believe I'm not going into this game with many nerves. I'll be honest, and I'm quite a nervous character. To be honest, even in the Wolves game, I wasn't overly confident going in at all. I just didn't, because we hadn't played overly well for a while. So, but now our tails are up. I'm really thinking, I really fancy us. I really do. I can't see anything other than a West Ham win at the moment. I really hope I'm not. I mean, I'm not eating those words, by the end of the weekend.
Hopefully. Kent, I hope you are well. Areola for me tomorrow. I think, it's difficult because you could make an argument for both of them, but at the end of the day, we probably should know that Fabianski is going to start because we know what David Moyes is like. But Moyes, you never know, might just mix it up. But overall, with players coming back into some form, it's another perfect opportunity for Jarrod Bowen to perhaps get himself another goal or assist tomorrow to get his form back, because he has had a really quiet start to the season. So again, a good chance for him tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually, like you say, he struggled a little bit so far this season. I'm not overly sure why, really. Whether he's just been a bit run down, a bit tired, I'm not sure. I mean, there's obviously been rumours about his head being turned, which I'm not overly sure is true. But maybe it's just been a sticky patch for him. He's just struggled to get going. But we've really started to see it. I mean, especially against Wolves. I mean, he looked great, didn't he? And his finish as well that second goal was fabulous. A proper Jarrod Bowen goal.
He just looked quicker and more physical. It's like he flicked a switch. And in the Anderlecht game as well, I thought it was the same. He looked like the Jarrod Bowen last year, and it was like he just flicked the switch. It's like he'd just seen Danny Dyer for the first time in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, she must have been there with him. Yeah, I agree. I think there has definitely been a change in his form, and it's great to see it, because let's be honest, it's one of the key reasons we are where we are, is because certain players have been poor. I mean, Souček, as we know, hasn't been the same player for quite a while for us. I mean, although arguably he has been playing a lot better last couple of games. I think Soufal's been pretty poor for us as well. Bowen, we needed those players to step up, and we've really missed Bowen being at that level, and it's made a big difference. And him now suddenly coming back into form, I don't think it's any coincidence that him suddenly now stepping up and playing well again. All of a sudden, we're now getting results. So yeah, I agree. I think this is a great opportunity for him tomorrow to get another goal or an assist and get, because let's be honest, he needs to as well. If he wants to get on the plane in November, he's got to be playing well, because he's a fringe player really for England, isn't he, at the moment? So if he can't afford to be playing badly for too long.
Oh, no, 100%. Before we played Wolves, I was concerned, but I looked at the fixtures we had coming up, and I know we've got Liverpool and United amongst this as well. But I said, look, we've got Wolves, Fulham, and Southampton in their teams that we should be beating, and this is the big test now, because we beat Wolves, we should be beating Fulham. Southampton Southampton are struggling this season again. They lost to Everton last week, I think, at home, which is not great. I mean, we lost away, but we all know how poor we were that day.
Yeah,
But
oh God, yeah.
yeah, but this is the kind of test now. Can we continue to pick up points against these sides? We should now be beating if we want to get back into some form, and then going and pushing a side like Liverpool that are very beatable this year. And you never know what you're going to get from a side like Man United. So up until the end of October now, it's going to be a really, really telling 3 weeks, I think.
I agree, mate. I agree with you. I mean, I think early on in the season, you'd look at the Liverpool Man United games and think, oh my God. But no, I think now if we can get us, I mean, this is a crucial game tomorrow, because if we can finish off a week with effectively, 8 days, 3 wins in 8 days,
yeah,
a serious, good run of form. It shows that we've turned a corner. As you say, it sets us up lovely for Southampton as well. We've always got a pretty decent history against that side as well. We always tend to beat them. So I'd fancy us to go there and get a result. And then, as you say, then you've got Liverpool. I think it's Liverpool away, isn't it? But the way they're playing, no, is that right? Is it Liverpool away? Is it?
Yeah, midweek.
Yeah, midweek, and who knows with them, because they just haven't really got going at all this season. They're struggling for confidence. So if we can go into on the back of that, imagine going into that game, having won say 4 or 5 games on the spin. I'd fancy us to go there and do something. And as you say, Man United at home, I don't rate Man United at all, really. I know they've had some decent results of late, but obviously the Man City one aside, but they never really look that convincing, really. So I actually do fancy us at the moment. And as you say, if this is coming up, leading us up into the World Cup break, what a way to do it. We want to finish this first half of the season in good form. To gear us up, for the second half, which kicks off on Boxing Day.
Well, exactly, as well, because we've had a poor start to the season. Yes, we've had, looking back at it, we had a really, really unlucky draw. Man City, which have been unbeatable. Forest, who were always going to win in their first game, and that was just the most unluckiest thing I've ever seen with my own eyes. Brighton, we always lose to, so we were stuck with nothing after three games, which was unfortunate. And yeah, that Brighton game, we were really, really poor, but they always beat us no matter what anyway. So if we can now win, these games, I think we've got Bournemouth at home in there as well, which are a very beatable side. If we can pick up points here, I think then we can say we've turned the corner, and we're going into this World Cup break with the positivity. And if we do even win tomorrow, if we would have told you a week ago that we'd won all 3 games out of the next 3, we're pretty much through in the Conference League, at least second place now. And back on the right road in the Premier League, we would have snatched your hand off for that. So I think it's progress in the right direction, and that's just got to continue tomorrow.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, if we can go into the break, if you can imagine that we're going to the World Cup and West Ham are sitting, say, the top 8, top 7 in the league, and with a knockout stage of the Europe kicking off again in February to look forward to, I mean, we'll be buzzing. I mean, we'll all be thinking, my God, like this could be another top 6 season for us. It really could be. So these are crucial matches. There's no mistake about it. We have to beat Fulham. It's a really important game. These are games we can't afford to slip up now, because we have already lost 5 this season. If you want to be in the top 6 bracket, I think realistically you can't lose much more than about 7, 8 games. So we've already lost the majority of that. So we really need to now. We can't afford to slip up. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. But I'm actually really confident. I'm feeling really good about it, and which is very rare for me, mate. I'm telling you.
Well, that's a good sign then. Hopefully, our increased positivity that we haven't had this season will not come back to bite us. Happy Hammer, I hope you are well. In terms of a prediction, Mark, then I think you mentioned it earlier on. Give us some goal scorers to add to your prediction as well.
Yeah, I think 3-0 West Ham. That's my gut feeling. I've got a feeling Scamacca's going to score 2 actually, and I reckon. It's got to be Bowen, isn't it? It's got to be, he's back in form. That's my prediction.
Very good. And I like it because you haven't nicked my prediction, which most people do nowadays. I'm going to go 2-0 West Ham. Okay. Goal scorers, I do think Scamacca will score. It'll either be Paqueta or Bowen for me. More likely Bowen, as you said, but I'm going to mix things up and go Paqueta because why not? And to get his first goal for West Ham, that would be excellent as well. Some final thoughts then. I think we'd all be very, very disappointed if we walk out of there tomorrow afternoon with not with 3 points. If we draw, I think we'll be disappointed if we lose. We'll be fuming, to be honest.
Oh yeah, can't have that, mate. We can't afford it, can we? We need the 3 points. But like you say, I think even if we drew, I think fans will walk away very disappointed. I think most of us know that this is a very good opportunity for us to grab 3 more points. It's vital we get them, because we want to turn that corner now and get going. So yeah, nothing but a win, mate, and I'm confident it will be.
Yeah, fair enough. 2-0 Dawson, and the cheeky Antonio go off the bench too. I tell you what, we haven't sort of discussed Dawson in there as well, and he's come back in just before we go. He's come back in, two appearances, 2 clean sheets. He's getting the blocks in. He's short up that defence again. It's what he does, He's just been, whatever Kehrer hasn't done there. Dawson has just come back and he's shored it up, and we've got Kehrer at right back, which is fixing that position as well. He's just a lifesaver, and I think he's shored up the defence again, and with Dawson there, I feel at ease at sometimes, apart from when he miskicked that ball late on Thursday night.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Dawson, he's an enigma, isn't he? I mean, who would have ever predicted this when we signed him? Like, it was. I think most of the fan base were annoyed when we signed him and thinking, what are we doing? And I believe we picked him up for about £2 million. It was nothing really, like peanuts. And he was only supposed to come in as a bit of cover. And like, you're right, like I feel more comfortable now seeing him. When I see his name on team sheet, I can relax a little bit more. I think he's just such a solid player for us. And like you say, he's come back in and 2 clean sheets, and you just think these things aren't coincidence. The fact that Dawson's back in the side, you got Kehrer at right back, who it's dealt with that right back issue we've had for a little while, and all of a sudden now we're just looking far more solid, a far more solid outfit. And it's definitely made a big difference, mate. I absolutely love him, and I know that he's there are talks about him moving on because of his location with his family and stuff. I'll tell you what, it'll be a big loss for us, Dawson. It really will be.
Oh, 100%. There we go. So that's the match preview for West Ham United versus Fulham. Before we go, I'll drop a like on the video. Subscribe to West Ham Official if you haven't already. Check out our channel sponsors, Astor M Carver and Sun, by clicking the link in the description down below. As well as voting for me in the Football Content Awards. It's the penultimate day of voting. Voting slams shut at midnight tomorrow night. So hopefully I will have the right amount of votes. West Ham will have 3 points on the board, and it'll be a good Sunday. But yeah, carry on voting if you haven't already for me in the Football Content Awards. All information is in the description down below. Click the website there. You can vote for me on Instagram and Twitter, and on the website, which is linked down below. You can find Mark on the West Ham Way and on Twitter as well. But that's it from us. Come on, you minds. Hopefully we can pick up those 3 points tomorrow at the London Stadium. And that's it from us. Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, mate. You take care.
And we'll catch you soon right here on West Ham Unofficial. Cheers, guys, and bye-bye.
Cheers.